It's time, though.
The Tide 5.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute so on each. When the bell dings, well, we move on to the next topic. Champions League, Champions League, Champions League. The supercomputer did the draw. Cristiano pushed the button this morning in the wee small hours. There are now 36 teams, 4 more than last year, and it's its own league, the Champions League. So, a couple of years ago, if you do remember, all the kerfuffle around Europe's Super League, well, it started whether you like it or not. Dalton Papali'i has a thumb injury. Does he really, Lachlan? Are you a conspiracy theorist on this? Do you reckon that's just a nice way of saying that he's not playing because he hasn't been playing well? I have no basis in fact to even suggest that, ladies and gentlemen, but I have a sneaking suspicion. Why is that? Storm versus NQ last night. North Queensland won 36-30. The Storm rested 10 players. F1, have you seen the footage of this? The safety car driving around at Monza, no one else on the track, and the guy gets the speed wobbles, goes off the track. The frightening thing about it is that all of that gravel does not slow a car down one bit. And this guy's not driving at 300 kph like the F1 cars are, and he slams into the tyre wall. But it's not about that. It's about what kind of loser crashes the safety car in a practice lap before the GP even starts. Team New Zealand's boat, Tai Horo, dropped by the crane 7 metres onto the ground, Lachlan. Now, we were there when Tai Horo was put into the water in Auckland. These things are quite fragile. I know that they weigh an awful lot and so forth, but what they're built of, it's not steel, it's carbon fibre. And so no one knows what kind of damage has been done. But quite a setback for Team New Zealand there. And also, are you happy with the US Open men's draw? And I only just realised this when Dave told us this earlier in the show, that Sinner and Alcaraz are on the same side of it. Champions League draw, though. Do you care really, Lachlan, the way it works now? You've got one league, everyone plays 8 games, 2 more than last year, the year before, and we're in because the group stage always used to be 6 matches. The top 8 qualify, and then teams 9 to 24 play off to get the remaining 8 spots, and then it's a round of 16 and a knockout from there. It's just another money-making exercise, isn't it? They're just squeezing more out of the lemon as fast as they possibly can here.
It is. I kind of like it. Whenever I see these new... Obviously, we knew this was happening earlier this year when the last season's Champions League was still sort of going. But I mean, it increases. Like, for example, my Liverpool. Of course, I'll use them as an example. We open against Real Madrid, and we have a slew of pretty achievable fixtures. Achievable is not the right word. Winnable fixtures. That's the word I'm looking for. We've got Bayer Leverkusen back at Anfield. Like they used a supercomputer to do the new draw. So obviously, you play 8 games as opposed to 6. And the knockout phase is the same as it was, but instead of having 8 groups similar to a FIFA World Cup and then the top 2 go through from each group, you've now got just a massive round robin, a humongous round robin where it's randomised who you play, and then the top 8 automatically qualifies the top seeds, and then the next is it 8 to 24 teams.
9 to 24.
Excuse me, 9 to 24 go through to a knockout tournament to decide the next 8 teams. So then essentially the knockout phase is the same as it was. I actually like it. I mean, there's more overall. It goes from 125 to 189 Champions League games a season, which I get it. I get that it's a money making exercise. My only issue with these, look, I'm a selfish viewer. All I care about is that it's a good product.
And it is when it gets to the knockout stage. The rest of it is just what?
No, but the product doesn't actually... I think it gets better. I think because there's more games, for example. One thing I never liked about the Champions League, I understood why they did it, but I never liked about the Champions League was that the group phase would finish around November, December, and then you do nothing until February. So I like that essentially it extends that
I think
season.
this is turning into what it always was going to turn into, which was a league that is actually going to usurp all the other leagues. It eventually is going to be that. It's going to be the Super League that they didn't talk about and they didn't want.
That might happen, but I don't think this change, if you isolate this change, I don't think it spells anything terrible.
It doesn't hold a candle to the Europa League, is all I'm saying.
What?
That the Europa League is...
Okay, so here we go. There's another... I should have picked up on this at the start, actually. Important. You're anti this because if Man United were in there instead of Liverpool, you'd be all over it. You'd love it.
When? Yeah.
Never. But I mean, the one thing the supercomputer that did the draw.
The draw from the supercomputer.
Yeah, an all-powering button hit by Ronaldo in Monaco. It's all opulence. I hate it. But it promises more big fixtures, and I think there are more big fixtures, so I like that.
Martin, the team Razor has picked is probably as good as it gets. I like it. However, I'd prefer Talia over Clark. Has Clark fixed his tackling? Papali'i, I like him, but sadly he's gone MIA in recent matches. I prefer him as a 6. Summer Penny now gets a chance to prove himself.
Can I interject there? If you're going to bring up Clark's defence, I don't think Talia is exactly a great defender. Both he and Severis were exposed against England.
And Argentina as well. You know, the crossfield kick. Talia
There's a reason why they were both dropped.
And, you know, it's not like the South Africans haven't looked at that videotaping on, Talia, box kick to him, because he's got no left foot under pressure. And neither's TJ, remember? The Argentinians in Wellington really exploited that. Does Dalton Papali'i have a thumb injury? Or is this just the All Black selectors, rather than facing all kinds of questions about why he's been dropped, conveniently coming up with this? I'd be amazed if that's the case, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, because there's so much PR schmuck and smokescreen now around everything to do with the All Blacks. And if you do remember, just cast you, I'm not going to keep harping on about Leo McDonald, but the way that story was presented is, here are the facts, this is it, this is what you're going to be talking about, this is all you're going to be talking about, now we're moving on, we're not talking about it anymore. And then all of a sudden, some pesky member of the media brings up that, did he get a payout? I think we mentioned that on the first day. How much did he get paid out? Because he's got a 4-year contract. And so, you know, these days, they want so much to direct the message, so much to decide what it is you're going to debate, what I'm going to debate, what it is. And if Dalton Papali'i's been dropped because he simply has not been good enough in the number 7 jersey for the All Blacks, and I think that's a fair statement, then that's going to be a major talking point amongst certainly all the New Zealand media, and also, I dare say, the South African media would be all over it as well.
Yeah.
He'd better bloody front up on the sideline with his arm in a sling or something. If his thumb injury's that bad, he can't play. Otherwise, I got conspiracy theories happening.
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought it was interesting because I was like, it's just first I've heard of a thumb.
First I've heard of it, yeah.
Problem. There's not even been any crumbs of it in the media.
And also, you've got to remember that the guys that are on the ground are really good at spotting this kind of stuff, because those that go along to training, the first thing you're looking for, and we did this in France, didn't we? Who's training, who's not training? And I think we saw, who was it that was running by?
We saw this at a Warriors game this year or last year. A Warriors training session. Tohu Harris was on his own.
Was on his own, that's right. And as soon as you see that kind of stuff, you go,
hold up a second.
Why is he not in contact? Why is he running by himself? I think it was Sam Whitelock in the quarterfinal before we played Ireland. He was running by himself away from the rest of the team.
And he eventually he came off. He was named on the bench.
That's right. These kind of things you do notice. So I'm fascinated to know who's been there and who's watching that. Anyway, I like the idea of Sam Penny on the bench. I think it's a much better side for the All Blacks with that.
Yeah, just quickly with Dalton. If it's gotten to the point now where I thought the same thing when I heard it. When I read that he had a thumb issue, I'd be really, really disappointed if Scott Robertson and his colleagues can't just be honest. Like when Mark Talia was dropped for the quarterfinal last year against Ireland, Ian Foster was honest. He said he didn't make curfew. He's been stood down.
So they weren't honest about Roygard.
Well, no, because the room. Okay, well,
we're not going to talk about that.
No,
but at the same time, remember they shut those questions down.
They did, but that wasn't confirmed. But assuming the rumours were true,
well, he actually came up with this. He came up with this. Roygard's defence isn't up to it, which is the first we'd heard of it at that press conference.
Yeah, I know.
What?
But anyway, so coaches often, when it comes to dropping players, they're honest about it, because if anything, Razor was honest about it with Rico.
Yeah.
When it comes to dropping players, you want to be honest publicly because you're putting them on notice.
Yeah,
so if he is dropping Dalton, not because he's got an injury, but actually form, but he's not saying why, that's not good. You shouldn't be doing that. So I do actually think there's a thumb issue. I'd be surprised if he's dropping.
We're going to ditch the North Queensland versus Melbourne Storm topic and replace it with this, which has just come through, which I really like, that Balmain are considering exiting from the merger with West Tigers and going alone and becoming the Balmain Tigers, because, of course, the Tigers and Wests merged.
Western Suburbs, yeah. And
always hated it. That's when I patched over
you're
from
a Balmain fan.
Yeah, Balmain to the Warriors, because I couldn't stomach West. West is like moving out to Massey from Ponsonby. Why would you do it?
Well,
no disrespect to anyone who lives in Massey.
It's like if Napier and Hastings merged as a town.
No, they're not going to, and you wouldn't be having that.
This was pitched by someone from some Hastings local council
this was when
years
the
ago.
Central Vikings. This is probably a better example. Palmerston North and Napier had to get Hawke's Bay and Manawatu had to become the Central Vikings. It was a marriage made in hell and was never going to work. I've never wanted Wests to be part of Balmain. If Balmain come back, I'd be more than happy with that, and I'd probably go back to being a Balmain fan. Because I was always a Balmain fan.
Yeah.
I love the Balmain Tigers.
I don't like the mergers because it takes away from the history attached to each.
St George and Illawarra.
When you read about the history of the St George Illawarra Dragons, you don't read about what they did in the 60s as the St George Dragons because that's the history of the St George Dragons.
That's it.
You know? So I'd love it if it happened.
Okay, so who's the Trustafarian that was driving the F1 safety car? Because the guy that gets that job, Daddy is either a major sponsor, isn't he, or he's got some kind of connection with the upper echelon of F1. Look, my loser son's never had a job. He just in nightclubs his whole life. Can you please give him something to do on the track? He can drive the safety car, right? You want to see this clown in the safety car. He's coming down the straight, and he's obviously decided he's going to do a little bit of with the steering wheel, and he loses control. He just wobbles, and then he oversteers. The next minute he's in the gravel. The next minute he's through the tyre wall. Frightening thing is how that gravel didn't stop him at all. It did nothing. It was like skating on ice, wasn't it? As soon as he hit that.
Yeah. Maybe gravel has a different impact on open wheel cars as opposed to just regular
You got to
cars.
hope so after that. But the safety car crashes with no one else on the track. What kind of loser are you?
Well, it's like
okay, go back to the nightclub, filling your nose full of coke because you're not going to. I'm not having you out there on race day. If you can't drive that thing without anyone else on the track, I'm not having you out there on race day.
Yeah, but it's a
Sebastian.
It's a bloke who's driving.
Go back to your super yacht.
He's clearly driving that, and he's got the whole track to himself because the safety car or the Meg car,
mate,
whatever it is.
he's on the phone FaceTiming some
he's
tart
not.
is what he
Stop
is, mate.
it.
You know that he is.
You hate people who are younger than you. Stop it. No, he's
yes,
not.
I do. For good reason, mate. Because none of you have a brain, mate.
What Sebastian is doing is he's just driving the car and he's got the track to himself and he's going, I'm in quite a nice Aston Martin.
No, he's showing off to a girl, mate.
He must stop it. He's putting his foot down going, here we go, and then he breaks a bit late because he's looking at the crowd going,
look at me, I'm in the safety car. Daddy got me in this.
Maybe he's actually because you've got to be a decent driver to get that good. Yes, of course
mate,
you do.
You don't have to be. You've just got to have Dad being rich to get in the seat of a Formula One car, which is why Liam Lawson can't get a bloody seat,
You've
mate.
got an agenda.
All right.
Move on.
Last topic. Ty Hoddle hits the deck from 7 metres. That ain't good.
No.
Okay. Rule number 1 with the America's Cup boats: don't drop it. It's like the precious crystal glass you get out of the glass thing at home. We're going, okay, can you get the champagne flutes out? And every time I go to get the champagne flutes out, they were brought back from Paris, and I'm thinking, I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to trip over the dog, and one of these is in the floor, right? And there's only 2 of them. I keep saying, I don't want to use those glasses. Can we just keep those for best? No, let's use them because they're there. That's the whole point of it. But as soon as
I'm going to break
it. Yeah. Okay, don't put it in the dishwasher. I was never going to put it in the dishwasher. Don't use the brush in it. I won't use the brush in it. How do you clean it then? This is it. How do you drop the bloody boat, mate?
Well, how does a crane malfunction?
Well, no. Okay, the only reason...
Isn't that what they said?
Well, there's no malfunction. The hook goes in the bit where the hook goes, okay? So somebody didn't tie that on properly.
Well, maybe the dude operating the crane...
It's like the bungee cord, isn't it?
Maybe the dude operating the crane hit the wrong button. It's like, oh, geez, no, not drop.
Oh, sorry, Grant. Sorry, Dolts. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, technical computer malfunction with the controls here. Don't know what went on there. I hit the right button, but didn't hit the right button.
Devlin.
You better believe it!
The platform.